there, I'm Jules. Nice to see you again. The word of the day today is therapist. Do you have a therapist? I have a therapist. It's not a secret. I love my therapist. If you'd like to know why therapist is the word of the day, watch some of my other videos and find out. Today we're playing As We Know It. This music is kind of fire. I don't know anything about this game. I actually don't even know what kind of game it is. If it's like a platformer, if it's like a visual novel. Those are kind of the games I usually play. So we're gonna find out together, aren't we? Let's go! Okay. Content warning, not for kiddies. If you're a little kid, please don't watch this right now. Thank you. Oh, my name is Ashlyn Phillips. Oh, I can change it. I'm gonna be Jules. I have to be Phillips though. Okay, I'm Jules Phillips. Okay. Can I have pink hair? I have blue hair. Okay. I guess that's good. I think I'll have blue hair if I can't have pink hair. I like to have pink hair in games. Alright, Jules Phillips. Let's go. Yay, it's a visual novel! Love it. It was a tiny place, much smaller than our house had been. Mickey! Mickey! Stop! Mickey! I'm gonna kick your butt. Stop it! Okay. I love visual novels. I'm really excited about this. It was a tiny place, much smaller than our house had been. But we wouldn't die here if the power went out during a dust storm. Jules, can you help me with this? Sure, just let me change out of these rags first. I changed quickly, and then I rushed over to open the tub with our very limited possessions inside. We had to leave a lot behind to come here. They had informed us of the limited space. My mother sighed and started to lift things carefully out of the box and place them on the very shelves that we were provided. I miss all of our things already. I miss them too. We should try to stay positive. Mom sighed again and just shook her head. I suppose. Mom stood up and started organizing everything into an appropriate spot. I went to our new beds and began to lay out the provided linens. The fabric was very soft and free of sand. I almost felt bad touching it. We had a bathroom, kitchen area, and separate beds. There was also a hinged table that could be pulled up from the wall, and small chairs that could be tucked away. On the wall by the door was a metallic intercom system with a tiny speaker. The floor was hard and made of vinyl that roughly resembled wood. I had stared at the shower for a while before realizing what it was. I showed Mom and we both watched the water fall from the ceiling as we twisted the knobs. It was incredible. There were even fake windows by the bed, featuring paintings of incredible landscapes with green trees and water, something I'd only ever seen in books. It was small, and it wouldn't provide a lot of privacy, but it was safe. It was home. The crackle of the intercom made me jump. I looked at Mom, and then we both looked at the small speaker. The voice was understandable despite the static. In 1 hour, I need all new citizens to come to the community center for orientation. I hope you all found your accommodations comfortable and efficient. If anyone has any questions or concerns, please remember that we are always here for you. There was a pop and the noise stopped. I started to look over the map that had been in the welcome basket on the table. The layout was simple, but I'd probably still get lost. I was used to wide open spaces, and here there were tunnels and paths all over the place. Study the map. I studied the various hallways and tunnels that connected us in this odd underground city. I narrowed my eyes and tried to will my mind to memorize the lines and words. However, my vision started to blur with the effort. I blinked, and decided to try focusing on the path from our residence to the community center. Do you think there will be signs pointing where to go? Probably. There were some that led us here after we got inside. Before I could respond, there was a loud buzz. Apparently, the little intercom also notified us when someone was at the door. Mom glided over to slide back the latch and pull it open. I began to reach for a weapon, but then I remembered that they had been confiscated. Intruder. Hey guys, we're just checking in with the newcomers and introducing ourselves. A tall woman with short black hair and an attractive smirk sauntered into the room. She wore the uniform of the security force, a uniform I was starting to get used to seeing around here. She pointed at herself and took a friendly glance around the room. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Is it just you in charge of everybody on this floor? Not just me, ma'am. It's me and a few others. But I'm the smartest and toughest, so... She just shrugged, as if that was the only explanation we would need. It was kind of charming. Overall, she seemed very good-natured. Is the community center hard to find? No, nothing is hard to find down here. Just follow the signs or the crowd. Lots of people are heading out there now. Oh? Jules, maybe we should get going then? So, you're Jules? I started to reply when my mother jumped in. Oh my goodness, how rude, of course. I'm Camilla Phillips, and this is my daughter, Jules. Ava grinned and waved off my mom's concerns. No worries, Miss Phillips. Adjusting to the change of living down here can be hard for you newcomers. Her grin faded, and a pessimism settled over the room. So, how are things up there? Not great. The dust storms seem to be happening more and more, and the nearby power station is having a ton of issues. I shrugged. Things only got worse up there, never better. Ava nodded and gave me a small smile. I won't hold you up any longer. I should really get back to making the rounds. I'll see you both around, okay? It was really nice meeting you, Miss Turner. The feeling's mutual, ma'am. Mom and I said our overly polite goodbyes as she left. Mom seemed to like her, which was good, especially if she was part of the security force. When I saw that name, I had originally shuddered. The word force just sounded so aggressive. It was probably just nerves, though. Shortly after Ava left, we ventured out into the halls to make our way to the community center. Ooh. A large Welcome to Camden banner had been hung above the doors to the community center. The room was noisy and crowded. There were chairs facing a small stage and tables lined with coffee and water. Isn't Camden a place in New Jersey? I feel like it is. Bulletin boards were on the walls with various flyers and notices tacked onto them haphazardly. The stage held a podium, and in front of them were two clean but vintage speakers. The man I assumed to be the mayor was talking to some security officers on the stage. He stood tall and easy, with a commanding presence. He looked important. I sat down in an empty seat with Mom and looked around. People were reacting to this new situation in a variety of ways. A woman near the back of the room was sobbing, and the man next to me was just staring blankly off into space. Mostly, there was an air of relief. We'd been accepted, chosen. We were safe now. A hush fell over the crowd as the man stood to address us. He was handed a small microphone, and we heard the familiar crackle of speakers. Probably the mayor says, "It seems as everyone has made it here safely. I'm glad." He smiled and looked around the room. Oh, Mayor Rick Davidson. You may know who I am, but allow me to introduce myself anyway. I am Rick Davidson, the mayor of Camden. I know a lot of you are scared, traumatized by your life on the surface. Know that now you are safe. Together, we can build this community to create something magnificent. A home. He clasped his hands together and then held them up for everyone to see. There was some hesitant applause. First thing you need to know is that Camden welcomes you. He flung his arms out wide to motion towards the crowd, and there was more applause, stronger now. In Camden, we know that cooperation is the key to a comfortable life. This is why I must ask all of you to prepare for the Camden Career Festival on Saturday. It's a yearly celebration to welcome you and to help all of you find your place within our modest little society. As for choosing your career, there are a wide range of options. Each department will be hosting an open house in the evenings starting tomorrow. You are all encouraged to attend, as many as you like until you find a good fit. We will need everyone who is capable to contribute, and in turn, I am confident that we will continue to thrive. In Camden. Together. The applause was much louder and more enthusiastic now, and once it died down, he continued to speak. If work or anything else is stressing you out, I encourage you to take advantage of the many relaxing pastimes available here in Camden. Most are free. Though many of your basic needs will be met, your career will earn you enough beads to purchase a wide variety of luxury items. Fabric, entertainment, liquor, and... Oh? Have any of you ever tasted an apple? People began to move through the room and hand out small red things. I looked down at it and shared a look with my mother. We had heard of apples. I'd even seen a picture of one once. I bit into the firm flesh and tasted sweet juice. I looked down at the glorious apple in my hand and heard my mother squeal in delight beside me. Incredible. I smiled at her and continued to eat while the mayor waited for everyone to settle back down. He then continued to speak, but I was stuck in daydreams. Apples, nice fabric, it was all so incredible. I glanced over at my mother. She was gazing at the mayor, completely enraptured. She clutched the apple tightly, only one bite missing. Mom? She only looked at me and smiled, nodding her head. Then she returned her attention to him. I glanced around the room and saw a lot of similar looks. If they weren't being directed towards the mayor, then to the red apples in their hands. Suddenly, everyone stood up and began to cheer. I joined in, trying to hide my confusion. He must have said something, but I had missed it. Mom, why are we clapping? He's amazing. He really is. I think he's inspired optimism in everyone. It's just wonderful. I guess. What are we going to do for jobs? Mom stopped clapping for a moment. I'm not sure. We'll need to attend those open house things. I wonder what kind of jobs they have. If there's a job for an apple taste tester, sign me up. I held up the apple core for her to see. She seemed to remember her own apple and took another bite. I'm going to go try and say hi to our new mayor. You should walk around and mingle. Get to know our new neighbors. I didn't reply, but she had already started to walk away. I sighed and glanced around the room. I kept trying to tell myself that this was my life now, but I wasn't sure if it was sinking in. It was weird to not be searching for food or watching out for strange shifts in the wind. I glanced around the room. There were some people who clearly weren't new here. They stood near a large bulletin board. So many people. The noise echoed really badly in here. I closed my eyes and rubbed the bridge of my nose. Mom was right. But did I really want to try talking to any of these people when I still felt so on edge? Check out the bulletin, come on. The area around the bulletin board was crowded. There were lots of flyers, listing schedules, events, instructions, and also listing various positions for jobs and volunteers. Several very official-looking people were stopping people to talk. A woman glided through the crowd and stapled a sign-up sheet for something by the many others. She took a deep breath and smiled at everyone. I'm Miss Miller, but please, call me Gloria. I run the Community Affairs Department, so if you have any questions... Her voice projected over the nearby voices, and got a lot of people's attention. She glanced around and caught my gaze, her smile brightening. Name, hi, Jules, is... I cleared my throat and tried again. I'm Jules, Hi, Jules. It's nice to meet you. Are you looking at the available positions? Shit, she was still talking to me, specifically me? Yeah, and, well, everything. That looks fun. I pointed at a sign advertising a winter celebration. The very idea of winter was foreign, but I had read about it in books. A long time ago, it used to get really cold, and sometimes frozen water would even fall from the sky. Oh, that was my idea. I thought we could create new traditions in the community and use the archaic ones as inspiration. Her smile faded a bit. Winter is a weird theme, I admit, but I thought it would be an interesting novelty. It's good to keep people busy. That's the whole point. She tapped her temple gently. Times are hard, but we can't let us get us down. We can't let it get us down. That's true, I suppose. Her natural smile had returned somewhat. Are you good with people? We always have openings in community affairs. I try my best. I think so. There weren't a lot of opportunities to be. Really? You don't spend much time with others on the surface? Are you one of those people who were born down here? I suppose I gave myself away, didn't I? Yeah. So you've never been to the surface? Nope. Oh, but I have to run. It was lovely meeting you, though. I'm sure I'll see you around. Yeah, of course. She nodded and ducked back into the crowd, vanishing amongst the smell of bodies. The swell of bodies. The smell of bodies? Ugh. I looked back up at the board and made mental notes of the various flyers. I'd never remember all of it, but I suppose I could come back later. I caught sight of Mom, chatting happily with the mayor. I had no idea how she managed to get through the throng of people that surrounded him, yet there she was. Everyone was starting to leave, so I decided to head home. Mom would know where to find me. The tunnels were getting noisy. More and more people began to appear as they went about their daily lives. I picked up the pace. There were so many people, it just made my skin crawl a little bit. A lot of people were looking at me with open curiosity. Something about me must be screaming, "Surface!" Maybe sand was falling out of my hair or something. I paced around the tiny room that was now my home and waited for Mom to show up. As soon as I had started to worry, the heavy door opened and she appeared. Were you waiting for me? I want to go to bed and I didn't want to lock you out. I have a key. No, you don't. I pointed towards her key that she'd forgotten on the table by a box of fresh clothing. Ah, well, luckily for me, I have such a wonderful daughter. Yeah. So how was the mayor? You seem smitten. She waved me off and dug through her clothing to find something to sleep in. He's a nice guy, that's all. Are you curious about him? His family made this whole place, funded it, and everything. He asked for nothing in return, just wants everyone to live a better life. Like I said, smitten. Mom laughed and retreated to the bathroom to prepare for bed. I was already good to go, so I curled up in what was now my new bed and tried to be grateful for the nice blankets. The small space was unnerving, but I slept facing out to make it easier on myself. I'd get used to it. I could hear her humming, and it made me smile. I knew I could count on Mom to get a crush on a guy our first day here. Her romantic escapades had gotten us into a bit of trouble before, but hopefully it wasn't something we would need to deal with here. Lights inside of our quarters blinked off, and I tried to get comfortable. Mom switched on her white noisemaker, and I closed my eyes. I had been shocked that she had grabbed such a thing, but now it was drowning out all the weird sounds that were echoing through the place. Luckily, this place had electricity, and the mayor seemed generous with it. Tomorrow, I would need to find something to do till I could go to a career open house. It felt strange to not be sealing the cracks and watching out for a storm, but the door was sturdy and there were no windows. I was exhausted. I was so exhausted, I couldn't have stayed awake all night, even if I had wanted to. Oh! I get to be romantic with people? Ah! Okay, we have Ava, Sam, Gloria, Tabby, Jude, Trevor, Micah. I assume standing is not a person. And stress. Okay, so I assume the hearts are people that I can date. And I don't think the suns are people that I can date. Okay. When the intercom finished its annoying good morning message, I rolled over in bed and saw that Mom was already up and dressed. We need to see if we can buy a coffee maker somewhere that still works. Coffee was one of those luxury items, but I was pleased to learn it wasn't too expensive. Why don't you get ready real quick and come with me to the community center? They serve coffee there every morning. For free? No, but it's cheaper than buying the stuff to make it yourself. I groaned and squeezed my eyes closed. Sleep more or get coffee? Coffee. I rolled out of bed, got ready, and followed Mom to the community center. Coffee. Need coffee. I mean, it's cheap. I saw the table lined with steaming coffee cups, and I began to head over, but Mom tapped me on the shoulder. Jules, look! It's the mayor. Her voice was almost girlish with excitement. Yeah, but where is the coffee? I didn't care about the mayor unless he had a cup of coffee for me. Go ahead and get a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee. I'm going to go say hello. I blinked slowly and watched Mom saunter off towards a group of people that apparently included the mayor. I should grab her a cup of coffee, even if she probably didn't need it. She'd always been a morning person. I headed over to grab a cup of coffee. There was a guy standing near the table. He was glaring into his coffee. Is it that bad? Yeah, no. No, not really. It's just not what I want right now. He blinked and looked up at me, then spoke again, hesitantly. I'm Jude, here. He reached down and... Oh, I'm Jude, here. He reached down and handed me a cup of coffee. Thanks, I'm Jules. I really only came for coffee. I didn't realize there was going to be so many people here this morning. I should have known, though, since you newcomers just arrived. He frowned and glanced around at the crowded room. I didn't know how to respond to his comment, so I just tried to smile and not feel awkward. There were more and more people coming in as we stood there. Luckily, there was plenty of coffee. I miss having my own coffee maker. Why is it so hard to find one that works? He sighed and pulled a rubber band out of his pocket and wrapped it around his wrist. I wonder when I'll stop craving a cigarette. He snapped the rubber band against his skin a few times, leaving a small red welt. He had spoken without waiting for a reply. I almost started to suspect that he hadn't really been speaking to me at all. But he glanced at me expectantly. I suppose it was my turn to talk. Does that help? I don't know, but I have to try something, right? Yeah, I guess you're right. Jude shrugged. Then he glanced around the room. I hope some of you newcomers come to the open house for agriculture this week. Then maybe I won't have to work the morning shift anymore. You work in one of the greenhouses? The underground garden is a paradise. Fresh leafy greens, just the thought made my mouth water. Yeah, the place is huge and requires a lot of upkeep. Everyone hates it because of how humid it is in there, but I don't mind it. Oh. He shook his head and scowled. It's whatever, you know. They let me play my music for the plants, so I don't mind sweating. Brian's my boss, but he's very laid back. He stopped and seemed to think of something, looking at me intently. What do you know about plants and crops? I know enough. At least about the stuff that manages to grow on the surface. Jude snapped his rubber band and seemed to be thinking over what I had said. So what kind of boss is Brian? You said he was laid back, but what do you mean by that? Not much of one at all. Oh, not much of one at all, honestly. If you come to the open house, maybe you'll see what I mean. I nodded. An awkward silence fell between us, which seemed to make Jude a little twitchy. I'm gonna go. I'm sure I'll see you around. Right. Goodbye. With that, he left. I took another sip of coffee and watched him walk away. He seemed to be as coherent as I was in the mornings. I took my cup of coffee and grabbed a spare for Mom. After I handed it to her, I sat for a while as they all talked about different things. The coffee wasn't strong enough, and I was starting to get hungry. Mom, I'm going to go home and make something to eat. We have been given a modest package of food, with the promise of more. Oh, shit, I don't remember his voice. Jules, you have a wonderful mother. I'll make sure she gets home safely. I didn't like that he had picked up on my nerves about leaving her behind, but Mom only ducked her head with a wide smile. All right, honey, I'll meet you back home later. Uh-huh. Do you have the key? She nodded and pulled it out of her pocket to show me. I smiled at her sheepishly. I was overreacting. Okay, sorry, Mom. You know I just worry. I know. Now go on and get some food in you. I'll be back before the open houses begin. I nodded and left. I couldn't help but think about the fresh produce that waited at home. Things I had never tasted before. I ducked into the hallway and made my way through the people going about their day. Getting home wasn't too hard. I just followed the signs that led towards my block. Everything was actually laid out really well. It was different than the surface, where everything was just sort of shoved together from ruins. When I got back home, I sighed with relief. It wasn't exactly quiet, but there weren't people all pressed up against each other here. I distracted myself with food, portioning everything out carefully. The fresh stuff would spoil if I wasn't careful. I glanced through the welcome packet while I ate. Hours passed before Mom finally returned. Again, she was in high spirits. I smiled and tried not to show that I was concerned. The mayor seemed like a nice enough guy, but, well, he wasn't in a relationship or anything. I should simply wish her the best. It probably was only one-sided anyways. He was the freaking mayor, after all. Oh, Jules, Rick is so wonderful, isn't he? He insisted he escort me all the way here. Oh, really? Is it dangerous for us to be alone in the halls? I don't think it was like that. I think he just wanted to talk to me more. She shimmied her shoulders with pride and began to swan around the room towards the food. That's nice. So have you thought about the career open houses yet? Which one you're going to go to? Mom paused and I saw her deflate a bit. I'm not all that good at anything. We always just did what we needed to in order to survive. It seems strange to have a job. Yeah, but this is like a proper society, right? Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? I smiled and nodded, despite the anxiety. I didn't see a reason to worry. The lights hadn't flickered too much. I hadn't heard of the roar of a sandstorm, and no one had tried to rob or kill us in our sleep. Things were different now. Better. I just needed to adjust. So, where are you headed tonight? Any of the jobs interest you? I shrugged. Just going to check out the open houses and figure it out from there. She nodded, and I apprehensively left to check the first open house. I walked into a large open room with several tables all lined up. A uniform had been set up, and there were lots of little packets with information. A large man stood by a bulletin board and was talking to everyone who came in. Ava. I had barely taken 2 steps inside when Ava bounded up next to me. Jules, you came! I'm not sure what I had imagined, but this wasn't it. It looked so boring. Ava frowned briefly, but shook it off. I think a lot of you surface landers are used to a very different kind of authority. This is set up for the people, to protect them, not to control them. She placed a friendly hand on my shoulder. Come on, I'll show you around. No one will give you a better tour than me. Alright. Since she worked here, she'd have all kinds of valuable insight. Show me all the secrets, okay? She grinned at me. You got it. I followed Ava as she pointed things out. She seemed to have a story for everything. That's my locker. That's the cameras. But they are unreliable as hell. These are the holding cells. The solding hells. She opened a door into a narrow hallway with small, secure rooms. No one was inside, thankfully. The idea of being confined in such a tiny place made my stomach drop. Holding cells? Yeah, if someone acts up too much. She glanced at me and her smile faded a bit. Hey, not people like you. Ava placed a hand on my arm. You don't look like a criminal to me. That's a relief. Ava shrugged. The mayor doesn't make a habit of taking in criminal types. I know what it's like on the surface, but it's different down here. Really. Now, want to see something really cool? Sure? Ava led me to a back room and opened the door into darkness. There was a snap, and it lit up to reveal several weapons. Oh, shit. Right? We only ever use them when we're dealing with invaders. It doesn't happen often. You know how to shoot these? I picked up a large gun. It was heavy and cold. I'd seen plenty of guns. I just never held them. They were hoarded by Sandmen, and if they learned that you had one... I handed it back to her and she held it out, striking a pose. I've begged Vince to let me take this home, but he won't let me. Probably not safe. Having that kind of firepower can't be safe. Yeah, that's what he says too. Okay, come on. Ava then led me back to the main room and outlined what would be my various duties if I joined the security force. Protecting people, fighting off anyone who attacked Camden, doing rounds to watch out for stuff. Lots of paperwork. Apparently she hated paperwork, but seemed to enjoy all the other aspects of it. Whoa. We went back to the boss, as Ava called him. He didn't seem bothered by my earlier absence and told me to call him Vince. He seemed content with that introduction and left me with Ava. I wasn't sure if this was the job for me. It sounded dangerous, but exciting. I moved into Camden hoping for security. Maybe the best way to make sure I was safe was to take matters into my own hands. As everything wrapped up, I grabbed an informational packet and then I headed back home. Mom was already in bed, so I crawled into my own and went to sleep easier than I ever had. Okay, standing, I have 2 sons now. Nothing else has changed. My hearts aren't going with Ava! I like Ava. She's really cool. Ah! I sat up, trying to shake the nightmare. I couldn't remember what it was about. Something with hands. Jules? Yeah? Ugh, just a bad dream. She nodded. Do you want some breakfast? I waited for you. I leaned up in bed and Mom began to look at me. After a brief mom scan, she smiled. I rubbed my eyes. I wasn't hungry, but Mom probably just wanted the company. Okay, let me get up. I got up and pushed away the last wisps of the nightmare. It was as good as forgotten. Then I sat at our thin fold-up table and ate fresh fruit and porridge. I was starting to think I could live on fresh fruit and vegetables alone. I used the recipes provided, but I'm not sure if this is how everything is supposed to taste. Better than what we used to eat. I shrugged and left out the times where we had been forced to go hungry. I think I'm going to head out to the community center for coffee. She peered down, eyebrows raised slightly. I nodded. Coffee. I can't believe they have enough of a supply to be so flippant with it. Coffee every morning is really nice. It's wonderful. Maybe I cleared my throat and stood up, then dusted myself off and made a show of heading towards the door. Coffee. Coffee first. She laughed and nodded, stood and placed the dirty dishes in the sink. The sink that had running water. It was incredible. Mom opened the door and we stepped out into the hallway. I made sure to grab the keys. We turned a corner and then almost ran right into the mayor himself. Oh, excuse me. Well, fancy bumping into you here. What brings you out to this block? He cleared his throat and straightened his shirt. Oh, I like to walk around. I used to jog, but this seems more manageable. Camila, how are you liking your new accommodations? Everything is absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad we managed to get a spot in Camden. He smiled, and I swear I saw him blush briefly. I do that all the time. I switch the words like that. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine how you were living before you came here. Someone walking in the hallway shouted a greeting at the mayor, and he waved in reply. It's rough up there. I miss the extra space, but our home here is much more luxurious. I don't miss the random power outages either. She visibly shuddered. We use geothermal power here. It's a lot more reliable. Everything is maintained regularly. I make sure of it. He nodded and crossed his arms. He had a look about him that said, yes, he did make sure of it. I wouldn't want to be in maintenance if there was a malfunction. I'm very grateful. I don't understand the bit about thermal genes, but yes, it sounds lovely. Even happier that I don't have to worry about it. That's the truth. I'm just happy the lights stay on. We even have cold water. He smiled and nodded. I know the rooms are small. They're just lovely. So clean and efficient. Running water. Oh, that alone is enough to make me happy. Mom beamed at him and I saw him relax somewhat. I cleared my throat to ruin the energy building in the air. Mom, I'm dying here. Coffee? Right. We were on our way to the community center. Don't let me keep you then. I'll see you around, Camila and Jules. We separated and I eyed Mom suspiciously. The mayor seemed okay, but he was the mayor. What was she thinking? He seems like such a gentleman, you know? Uh-huh. He's also the mayor, the guy in charge of everything, and who owns this place. So, what does that mean he can't be a gentleman? Why are you looking at me like that? I know. Nope. I'm still the mom, so you shush right there. I can tell you're about to lecture me, and I don't want to hear it, young lady. I rolled my eyes, and she wrapped an arm around me. Don't fret over me. I'm not that old yet, or helpless. I can take care of myself. I know. I just can't help worrying anyway. After we got some coffee, we learned about the library. We had seen information about it before, but it hadn't occurred to us that we could borrow books for free. Mom had only brought a few of her cherished romance novels that were battered from frequent use. It would be good to read something new. The library was cluttered with books, and a set of desks off to the side. Apparently, they held some kind of educational services here. A guy, probably a few years older than me, sat behind the counter looking down at a book. He hadn't bothered to glance up, but I could only imagine that he was the librarian. Hey! Gotta think of a voice for him. So, are you the librarian? Yeah, I guess. I'm not good at doing guy voices. I looked at Mom and she just shrugged. She seemed content to watch me try to interact with him. How do I get a free book? He sighed and grabbed a box and set it up on the counter. He opened it without looking away from his book and then handed me 2 blank index cards. Asked for clarification. So, do I wave this like a wand, or... Write your name and home index number, then give it back to me. Whenever you take a book out of the library, I'll note it on your card, and when you return it, I'll cross it out. Sounds very clever. We did as he asked and handed the cards back to him. Without another word, he placed it back into the box and returned his attention to his book. Before I could walk towards the shelves, the door opened behind us and someone else walked inside. He was taller and handsome, about the same age as the quiet and rude librarian. Not rude librarian. Hey, Trevor, you're not scaring everyone away, are you? The librarian, or Trevor, set his book down and stood up. Hello, welcome to the library. Can I help you find something to read? As he spoke, his voice was deadpan, and I didn't know how to respond. Mom simply walked away towards the reading material. I should have followed her. Don't worry about him, he doesn't bite. I'm Brian. I run the greenhouse. Oh, hi. I'm going to sit back down now. Where do you get all that youthful energy, Trevor? You're the same age, Brian. Brian turned his attention to Trevor, and I was left to my own devices. I walked around and took a look at everything that lined the shelves. The place was small, but overall nice. The 2 guys seemed completely lost in their own little world. Trevor was trying to read, and Brian was trying to get and keep Trevor's attention. I had finally started to figure out the organization system when I heard Mom coming. What do you think is up with them? Mom sidled up next to me, holding 2 new books in her hands. Both had covers that depicted a man and a woman clutching each other oddly. I don't know. How many books do you think we're allowed to check out at once? Not sure, but I suppose he'll have to tell us, won't he? I nodded and looked around the room as Mom returned to the romance section. There were tons of books lined up and neatly displayed, and it would be really wonderful to have something new to read. What did I want to check out? Something easy and relaxing. I grabbed XOXO Tales of Jerks in Love, and I met back up with Mom, and we headed towards the counter. I waited to see if Trevor would react to Mom's pile of books, but he only took our cards and notated the books we were taking. Brian smiled in a friendly way, but didn't speak again until we started to walk away. Then it was only to Trevor. See, I know these 2 guys are going to be like romance options. I think Trevor is cuter, but he's kind of an ass. So Brian seems like the obvious choice. The other guy was kind of weird too. The guy that works under Brian. But I really like Ava too. She's so nice. I don't have to pick now, it's fine. We spent the rest of the day organizing our tiny home and reading the books we borrowed from the library. When the time came to attend one of the career open houses, we went our separate ways. I tried to pick a good field to check out, but I had no way of knowing what would be interesting to me or not. So I just headed to the medics open house. Please no more new people. I don't have that many more voices in me. I walked into the clinic and was hit by the chemical smell of medicine and illness. It looked like a waiting area with places for patients hidden behind the curtains. There were pamphlets set up on a table, and a lot of people dressed in crisp white clothing. Oh, crap. A woman with big blonde hair walked over and took my arm. "Hello there, darling. I'm Iris Marie Jackson, but please just call me Iris. Everyone else does." She led me over to where everyone was sitting. I saw the doctor approach. "Ah!" A man in a crisp uniform approached me. He seemed friendly but distracted. Alright, some of my guy voices are just going to sound the same, okay? "Hello, my name is Dr. Micah Everett. Are you interested in joining the medical field?" "I'm here, aren't I?" He turned to the others and spoke to everyone. "I'm sure that you are all at least somewhat aware of what we do here in the clinic. It's important work that helps keep everyone healthy and alive. While we teach you some first aid, you can help us by keeping records and maintaining the clinic's sanitary requirements." He means writing people's names down and cleaning. Yes, Iris is correct. While doing this, I can teach you as much medical knowledge as you can stand. The more doctors and nurses we have, the safer we'll all be. How about a tour? Iris clapped her hands together as she looked at everyone. Micah rubbed the bridge of his nose. "Come on now, get close. I don't want to lose my voice." I started walking towards Iris, but felt compelled to stop and talk to Micah. He might get annoyed if I didn't stick to the tour, though. I don't know, Micah looks like he kind of hates his life. I just realized I've had my camera on the opposite side of what I normally do. I'm sorry, that's probably super disorienting. I will not do that again. Maybe. Sorry. I'm gonna go on the tour because Micah seems like he's got a lot of baggage. I decided it would be best to follow Iris. She walked us around the clinic and pointed out where everything went. Also, I really like doing Iris's southern accent. As she walked, she talked. "People come in, and you take their name and home index number, and then you jot down what's wrong. Unless it's so bad, then there isn't time for that. Then straight to a doctor or nurse. We don't see a lot of emergencies in here. Mostly people with minor things and the occasional work injury. A lot of work will be cleaning. Gotta keep this place absolutely pristine. If you don't understand why, then this job ain't for you." She continued to lead us around the clinic and show us the various rooms and storage areas. Once Iris was finished talking, everyone started to leave. I grabbed a brochure and looked it over. A job at the clinic could be dangerous. I'd be surrounded by sick people. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be responsible for someone else's well-being, though it might come natural for me after so many years of looking after Mom. I headed home, but spared a final glance toward the nervous doctor. He appeared to be counting. No more. Okay. Gloria, Ava, Jude, Micah. So we've met all these people. Jude, Micah. Okay. Sam, Tabby, Trevor. Okay, so nothing changed. Okay, I'm gonna call it here, and I am definitely gonna keep playing this because I'd like to see where this goes, even though the only choices I've been making really are the dialogue options. So maybe I'll get to make some more choices, like where I get to work and who I get to hang out with and talk to. If I have to pick between Ava, Gloria, Jude, and Micah, I'm probably... I don't remember if I met Micah. Maybe I did. Probably Ava, though. Jude is that weird guy that works for Brian. I like Trevor, too, but he doesn't seem to have hearts next to him. So, it's fine. Well, thank you so much for playing with me, and I'll see you later. Say hello to the turd. Hi, guys. I'm Mickey. I'm a stinker. Hi, guys. Be a good boy. He's not being a good boy right now.